After almost 5 years of work on the same project, starting something new can be a bit tough. But tough is good. Tough is hopefully interesting to watch, so I present to you this brand new devlog. My name is Mitko and I'm one of the founders of DreamTech, a small studio that released its first game and now it's off to the next one.
Okay, let's go! New game, now!
At the start, our ideas were all over the place and everyone had their own particular thing in mind. So our first big challenge was to find common ground. We decided that no matter what the new game turns out to be, we'll pivot around our studio's biggest strengths. But what are they? What do we do best as a team? Well, time to look at the reviews of our previous game, Lifeslide.
The gameplay is extremely satisfying, the worlds are gorgeous and the music is really soothing.
The feeling, the art style, the music. This game is a hidden gem.
The physics are amazing, and the levels are challenging.
The gameplay, the physics, all of
Music is
it.
immersive, gameplay is
Feels
fun.
incredibly smooth and engaging to play.
Okay, so, two things stand out. Satisfying mechanics and the music. The music is easy. We'll just get Alex Kostos to make a killer soundtrack again and we're done. But what about the mechanics? What makes Lifeslide fun to play is a simple control scheme coupled with a movement mechanic that has a lot of depth. You need to use the terrain beneath to your advantage, and if you do it right, it feels amazing. Okay, I think we have a good starting point for the next project. Regardless of anything else, we decided to make a game with a cool movement mechanic. So just like that, we started a new Unity project, imported a bunch of plugins, and we're off to work. Step 1. Capsule. Step 2. Make the capsule move. Yes, we aren't using any assets for our player character because our movement mechanic should be unique and should have unique bugs. But also we do it for the love of it. If you use a ready-made asset for the main mechanic of the game, then where's the fun of making it yourself? Anyways, because we're so unique and original, I opted for a somewhat weird approach to our character controller. Instead of slapping a bunch of code inside a mono behavior, I decided to make the player controller just a shell and move all the player behavior logic inside a scriptable object.
But Mitko, this is super inconvenient. You can't directly reference objects from the player.
Yep,
You don't have access to all mono behavior stuff.
had to write some code myself.
And scriptable objects keep their state after you exit play mode, so you have to dispose manually.
Yes, I know. All of this is somewhat inconvenient, but doing it like this allows me to do this. It allows us to write a bunch of different behaviors and swap them out easily. Also, because the scriptable objects don't reset their state when play mode is exited, we can configure the player easily during runtime. This actually saved us tons of time during the prototype stage. So, what kind of mechanics did we try? Oh man, here we go. Basic walking behavior, basic Sonic the Hedgehog behavior, basic rolling behavior, stolen Lifeslide code for flying, switching behaviors on the fly, motorbike behavior, flying motorbike Sonic the Hedgehog behavior, Sonic the Hedgehog behavior that is also EXO 1. Oh yes, this is the one we're going with. It's an interesting blend of mechanics. When moving slowly, it feels like a standard platformer, but you do have a vertical boost that lets you gather speed when going downhill, and as you get faster, the mechanic slowly blends into a racer mechanic. Oh, and if you jump off a hill, you start to fly Flappy Bird style. It's only missing one thing.
Grapple hook!
But this is not a regular grapple hook either. It changes behavior based on your input. You can either shoot towards a grapple target, or you can swing around it. Drives enemies crazy. Oh, and yes, we did add enemies. They incentivize you to keep moving. The enemy interaction revolves around grabbing smaller enemies with the grapple hook and throwing them at other enemies, but you can also jump on them or bash them at high speeds. So the game is now Super EXO 1 Sonic the Floppy Hedgehog Mario Bros. And I feel like we ain't done stealing from other games yet, so what's next? Well, right now there is literally nothing to do in the game. Time to introduce the core loop. Truth be told, we had zero ideas what the core loop should be for this mechanic. We didn't know what kind of story we wanted to tell, what world to show, and so what do you do when you have zero ideas? In our case, we just started executing the first things that came to mind. C#, visual scripting, pen and paper, everyone used whatever they could. We tried out a story-driven loop with dialogues and moral choices, a quest-based loop with lots of items, recipes and crafting, and the player has an impact on the environment, a rescue mission where you need to find people all over the map. Oh yeah, whenever we implemented a loop, we would gather and analyze it. All of these loops were so cool, except that they weren't. They sucked balls. But eventually this process allowed for our creative energy to start flowing, and so after 3 months of prototyping we finally had a breakthrough. You are a researcher on a hoverboard and are being chased by a storm. You need to explore and gather resources so you can travel between different areas, we call them nodes, using a big machine that can eventually be used to stop the storm. Time is ticking, the storm is closing in, and you need to hop from node to node towards your final destination. Why does this sound familiar though? Ah yes, yeah, we stole that from Faster Than Light. Super Exo Sonic the Floppy Faster Than Light Hedgehog Storm Dart. We call it Storm Dart for now. It's a story about how we as a human race are exhausting our planet's resources and are making our own home a hostile place. And it's a roguelike. Light. Cause stuff remains between deaths. Oh yes, similar to Lifeslide, you are going to die a lot in this game. Anyways, time for concepts. The game takes place in a somewhat post-apocalyptic environment. Humans have screwed up once and the big civilization has fallen. People are now living in small self-sustained settlements and are about to screw up again, and our main character conveniently discovers a machine from before the apocalypse that can fix all this. But the machine needs to travel to a far land before it can be activated. Along the way there will be mutated creatures and sentient robots from before the apocalypse that will make life harder for you. There is one little problem. Full of problems, ain't we? We don't have a lot of time to execute this project, and we need to move really fast. When we made Lifeslide, we spent months bringing a single level into the game, and then players just breezed through it in 5 minutes. We made a crap ton of content, and the end result was a game that took no longer than 3 hours to beat. That's a big no-no this time around. Our plan is to make all levels procedural again, but instead of making them linear, we'll make them open world. We started working on a system that allows us to combine terrains in Unity. It's a cool piece of code involving matrix transformations and data resampling. We're still in the early stages of development though. The biggest unknown right now is the rules for level generation. We can't just spawn a bunch of random terrains and merge them and call it a day. We want the level design to be enticing. That's why Danny has been experimenting with various level designs so that we can come up with a set of rules for the level generation algorithm. I'll tell you more about the level generation next time. For now, we're just testing stuff out. By the way, if you have any ideas how we should go about this, please drop a comment. We design in alignment with our community. The next step for us now is to advance the level generation algorithm and scrap everything. Yes, you heard right, scrap everything and start from scratch. These prototypes helped us understand what we want and what we need to do. All this was pre-production stage. Now it's time to start designing the actual game architecture and hopefully make an awesome game once again. For the time being, this is a good place to take a break and end the video. Thank you for watching up until the end, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and sharing it with a couple of friends. I'm a bit weird with goodbye.